This is another in the series, First Reads, where I read a poem by a poet I don't know or know very little about, and I just read their poem for the sheer joy of it, to get to know their work, just to read poetry. Sometimes I may be way off, sometimes not. I might read this differently some other time if I come back to it with more information about the poet, but this is just for the sheer joy of it. So, In Her Last Days, this is in the Lauschow Review. I picked these randomly. There's no rhyme or reason when I pick these things. It's by Peter J. Dudley. And when I look at a poem, I always start by looking at the form of it to see if there's anything I should notice here. Here, it looks like a kind of classic free verse poem. There's not a lot of rhyme or meter to play with in this thing, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Short first stanza, some little gaps, some longer stanza at the end. Let's go from here. And the title again, In Her Last Days. Well, let's see. That's pretty direct to what's going on. Another email, shorter than the last, an alphabet strewn in bits and batches, letters disordered, words mutated. So right off the bat, we don't get a narrator specifically or another person in this, but it's implied. Another email. The lines kind of break where you would expect them to break, kind of syntactically. Another email, shorter than the last, an alphabet strewn in bits and batches that are little syntactic units. That's totally fine. I kind of like when poets break things where you don't expect them, but that's okay to break it this way. Sometimes that just kind of happens. Another email, shorter than the last. So the emails keep getting shorter, and you kind of think of emails as shorter anyway. But shorter than the last, an alphabet strewn, bits and batches, letters disordered, words mutated. It's like the words themselves and the letters are getting mutated by whatever's there. I don't know if the writer of this email is the her mentioned in the beginning. We don't have enough to go on for that, or if this narrator is writing emails that are somehow getting this way because of grief for some her who's gone. It's not really sure at this point. The poet hasn't told us, the narrator hasn't told us. The white space, like gasps. So the narrator here is the poet, is using the spaces on the page to mirror these kind of gasps. It's almost, the form is mirroring what's happening. The form is reenacting the actual writing of the emails, the shortness of it, and the gasp that's happening with the person. The chemo has burned out the hospice watches. So there's no person specifically mentioned, but we get this clear sense that now that there's the her is the chemo person, the patient. And so somebody's there. It was burned out in hospice watches. It's never good, good sign. It's usually the end. With tender eyes, and when all the words drip down the screen. At this point, it's like the drip down the screen. It feels like a play on, somebody ceasing talking as well as we had the email earlier. It's getting mutated and left behind. And an evening breeze lifts morning dove song through my open window. I hear her whispering from miles away. I'm so tired. This kind of whisper, it feels like in the beginning it could be this email that it's in, but also just this person whispering it like the last phrase or something that they say. We don't know that because the poet doesn't tell us that, but this kind of whisper carrying plays on this kind of, connections, psychic connection or something people want to play with. I'm not sure if the poet's really playing with it there. This kind of sense that it's over, it's ending, and whatever words that are coming from this person are not coming anymore. It's a fairly short and to the point piece. Like I said, a lot of it looks like fairly traditional free verse. The lines syntactically break where you kind of expect them to break and things like that. The language is pretty simple. It's not overly poetic. It's fairly straightforward language. So, Peter J. Dudley.